Hi, it's Mark here. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to put your entire content marketing strategy 100% on autopilot. I have a case study news website here at cryptoeaglenews.com. I built this website to publish blog content on autopilot. I've set up automations to search the web for crypto news and curate that content into a format I want for the Crypto Eagle website. So in this series of videos, I'm going to show you how I curate blog content from RSS feeds and use OpenAI's ChatGPT to rewrite that content in a format that kind of adds more value to our readers and kind of, formats the post in how I want it to be displayed on the Crypto Eagle website. Then I'm going to show you how to use Journey to create awesome unique images for each of your posts and automatically have them uploaded to each post on your website. So each of these images that have been created are unique, created in Mid-Journey, and all kind of follow the same style guidelines so that they look consistent across the website. Then I'm going to show you how I create social media posts using AI agents. I've trained AI agents to create posts for specific platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, LinkedIn and X, and I use those AI agents to then to write the posts for these specific platforms, but then using the automation to send them to a spreadsheet so that you can kind of take a look at them. Each of them edit each of the posts as you'd like for each of the different platforms if it's not quite how you'd want it, but you can see that these posts are already pretty good. But once you're happy, you can go ahead and click approve, and automatically those posts will be sent to the social media platforms, or in this case, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to publish these social media posts to Buffer so that they can be scheduled out at appropriate times to land on your social media platforms. And finally, in the last video of the series, I'm going to show you how to create a daily podcast summarizing your content that you've published on the website in that day. So this could be a daily podcast, it could be a weekly podcast, really depends on how frequently you post new content onto your blog and how frequently you want the podcast to run. But essentially, on this example website, I have more than enough content on a daily basis to be able to summarize that content and create a blog 100% on autopilot. It just happens at 7:30 every day. A new podcast gets posted, completely hands off, summarizing the news from the website in that day. So this is the first video in the series. I'm going to create blog content from RSS feeds, in this example from a third-party site, and then send that content to OpenAI's ChatGPT to rewrite that content in a format I like, but also embellishing it and adding more value to our reader, and essentially just creating and formatting the content how I want it to be displayed on the Crypto Eagle website. So let's get started. So here I am in make.com. First up, I need to go ahead and create a new scenario. So the first step is that we want to, go ahead and pull any new news stories from around the web in the crypto space that we want to kind of publish and rewrite for our own blog on the Crypto Eagle News website. So the best way to do that, or the most ideal way to do that if we could, is to use the RSS module here. So this RSS module in make.com, you can use this watch RSS feed items. Essentially what we do here is we put in RSS feed URL in here. So the problem with this module is that it's just not very reliable. Like, I found that it fires sometimes, but more often than not it just doesn't fire, and it doesn't kick off our automation, and obviously that's a problem for us. It's not only me that has the problem. I've done some searching on the web and it's just a common issue. I'm hoping that'll be fixed. As of 22nd of August, it's not great and doesn't work so well. So, we have to kind of find like another way around this. The other limitation of this module is that it only allows you to put in one RSS URL. So if you want to pull in multiple feeds to, be the trigger to kick off this automation, then you're going to have to create multiple automations, one for each of the RSS feeds. So an example might be that you want to create a sports website and you want to pull news for tennis from the largest tennis authority in the space. Maybe for baseball, you want to pull news from the biggest authority in the baseball space. You if you have multiple feeds, then you're going to have multiple automations. Alternatively, there are like services like RSS which allow you to merge multiple RSS feeds into one. So then you can kind of go ahead and use this module here. That being said, this just isn't a very reliable module at the moment. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use Zapier to watch our RSS feeds and send a notification to our automation when it receives a new news item. So hopefully you can just use this module to go ahead and watch your RSS feed. Hopefully this is something that's fixed in the future and it all works well and you can use it integrated, the integrated module. However, I'm going to show you real quick how to set this up in Zapier so you can kind of get started like straight away if you're also experiencing problems with that module within Make. So when you're in Zapier, you can just go ahead and create a new Zap, and you want to use this trigger here, and the trigger you want to use is RSS by Zapier. So if you go into here, you get some options here. So you can, similar to the make.com module, you can just have one new feed item, or you can have multiple feed items. So let me show you the multiple feed items. So one of the biggest websites for news in the crypto space is coindesk.com, which I've spelt wrong. Try again, coindesk.com. And you're going to need to find the RSS feed for this site. So generally, you can use some tools which will help you find the RSS feed, but most of the times, or often they have a little link down here at the bottom. But often, if you type in /RSS or /feed, it'll generally redirect you to the right place. So if I do /feed, you can see that this is the RSS feed URL that we need here. So if we're going to Zapier, I've got multiple items, click continue. And in here now I can go ahead and put in multiple feed items up to 10 in here for, if I want to add, if I wanted to merge, or if I want my automation to be executed, based on a number of different RSS feeds. But just for the purpose of this example, I'll go back to here. I'll just use one RSS feed and click that in there. Click continue. And we'll put test trigger. I won't need to because we know that's just going to work because it's pretty straightforward. So what we're going to need to do though, and you can see that this has worked. So it's pulled some, the latest examples, latest items in that feed. But in order for us to send a notification to our automation in Make, we need to add a webhook here. So we can go ahead and go a custom webhook and add a new webhook, and this will be CoinDesk RSS feed webhook, and click save. And we have a URL here this is the URL that we need to send. This is a unique URL that we need for our webhook, and we can send any data that we want to this from Zapier. So if I copy that address to the clipboard, I'll go back into Zapier. So in here we search for webhooks by Zapier. Choose an event. You want to select post here, click continue, and then we can paste in the URL of the webhook that we have created in make.com. I can then go ahead and click continue. I'm going to skip the test because I know it's going to work. And then just go ahead and click publish, and that Zap is then live and published and ready to receive any new updates to the RSS feed for CoinDesk over here. Just for the purposes of this video, I'm not really going to want to sit here and wait and watch for new news items. So I just want to simulate the arrival of new news items. So what I'm going to do is going to use this RSS module again, and then I'm going to do retrieve RSS feed items. And I've not done that properly. Let's do it again. Oh, no. RSS feed items, retrieve RSS feed items. And I'll stick in our URL here, which is not the correct URL. It's this one. And maximum number of items will just return one item for now. So if I go ahead and run this automation now, you can see that this has picked up the latest article or the latest Yeah, the latest article in the RSS feed from CoinDesk. Next thing I want to do is to be able to then go and retrieve the contents of the article. So, you know, if I'm going to go ahead and send this article to ChatGPT to then, you know, format it and rewrite it in the way that I want it for the Crypto Eagle website, I need to go and grab the content of that email. So, sorry, the content of that article. So what I'll do is you need to use a module called HTTP and then the getter file module here. So I'll go and join that up, and the URL from the previous module I can use is this one here, which goes and grabs the URL of the latest article. So if I go ahead and run that now, this will take a little bit of time because it's going off to the web via HTTP, so like we would through a browser, to go and read that page and pull back the contents of that article, which is done here now. So I'll click that, go into data here, I can see that the entire contents, all of the HTML of that article is now, you know, being pulled back into make.com here. So we don't want all of that HTML. It's just messy. It's hard for us to read and to understand. It's also hard, you know, and to understand, and just makes things more complicated for ChatGPT as well. So we don't want to confuse ChatGPT with all of the additional characters in there and HTML in that we don't need. So we're going to go ahead and kind of strip some of that out. So, I found like the best way to do that is a couple of steps. So the first is that we want to do match pattern. So what we're doing here is we are going to use what's called a regular expression, or a regex, to essentially just tell us to pass and grab just the contents of the article out. So this is saying ignore everything before the H1 tag, which is the heading tag, which is the title of the article. Ignore anything that's in the footer, in the head, you know, all of the JavaScript, CSS that's there, and just return us all of the content just before we get up to the footer. So this is going to be all of the stuff at the bottom, all the stuff at the top that's a whole lot of nonsense. Ignore all that, but just give us the stuff that's in between. The text we're going to pass into is the text that we've got from the HTTP module here. So data, click OK, and we'll go ahead and run that again. Okay, so we can now see that if we go into the data, we've got rid of all that HTML at the top. So it's gone straight to the title of the article, which is Crypto for Advisors, Are Crypto SMAs Right for Institutions? And it's right down to the footer there. But as you can see, there's still loads of HTML in here that we kind of need to remove and get rid of. So we can do that a number of ways. There is an HTML to text module, which we can go ahead and use. And you just go in there and you pass in the HTML. So we'll do that. And that often does a good job. I find that it's not perfect. There's two ways you can do it essentially, and I have a preference for a slightly different way. So we can use the set variable module, and we can use a function which is to strip the HTML. So I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to call this stripped HTML, and the variable we're passing in is this. So we're going to use this function here, strip HTML. If I go in there and then can add in our HTML, which again this is what's been returned to the text parser here, and click OK. So that's just two ways that you can do that. I mean, I generally find that this one works slightly better. You should sometimes get different results when you're using this function versus using the built-in module. And generally, I find more often than not, I get better results than this, and I just prefer to use the function here. Now, arguably, you could just use this without the text parser section, but again, I find that I get better results. Sometimes I get some elements that are just left behind if I go straight to this strip HTML. So I tend to like pull out all the content first. So if we I've run that through now, if I take a look, you can see that all of our HTML has been removed and we've got just the contents of the article, which is exactly what we're looking for. So the next step, and the exciting step, is that we want to then go and take this article content that we've now passed and pulled from the CoinDesk website and send it to ChatGPT for us to then go and write in the format that we want it written. So you can do that by using the OpenAI module here. Click in here and go and use this one here, the create a completion function within this module. So we're going to use the latest language model, which is ChatGPT 4.0 at the time of recording this video. And in here, we're going to use the standard user prompt, just a standard prompt that we're going to send ChatGPT to write an article. I'm just going to copy and paste this in to save me typing this out in some time, because I've already used it before. And this prompt is just essentially telling us how we want the article to be formatted and rewritten in the way that we like it and want to see it. Now this is pretty basic. You can, you can get quite elaborate here in how you kind of want to change things and add and embellish the article so that it's kind of more fits with your audience and what it is that you want to create. But this is kind of, as an example, is quite straightforward, but also provides pretty good output. The last thing that we want to do here is set the number of tokens. You can set the number of tokens here just to save you some tokens within ChatGPT, maybe save you a little bit of money. But generally, you run the risk of then the article being truncated, which is not what we want. So by setting it to 0, you're saying you don't care like how many tokens ultimately get used, and that will just ensure that your article does not get truncated. So for this prompt, you can see at the start here it says read the following article, write in a clear professional way, etc. So we need to just go in here and just add our article to the bottom, which is our stripped HTML, which is from the previous module. So we add that in there, we click OK, we go ahead and kind of run this through. We can see if we go into choices, messages, content, we can see that this article has been rewritten. The advantages of actively managed SMAs over crypto ETFs for institutional investors. So this is all looking pretty good. This is kind of what we're expecting. You can see here that it's not in HTML yet. It's in this format called Markdown, and that's something that we'll have to address later on in the automation. But for now, this is good and looking good. So the next step is that we want to rewrite the title of the article into, again, the way that we want it, something that we want to make it click-worthy, but also that represents the revised article that we've written. So again, we do create a chat completion. We're going to use the latest language model for this, and again we're going to use user, and again I'll just copy and paste in the prompt that I've used. So I rewrite this title for the following article in a professional way, not using flamboyant adjectives, etc., etc. So I need to just go and put the title of the article in here. So the title of the article is what we've got from the RSS feed here, and I'm also going to pass in the article itself. So what we're going to do here is do the result, and again we want to do 0 tokens here at the bottom, and we're going to click OK. I'll run that through again. Going to usage, no, into choices, did that last time. You can see that our output is validating crypto SMA is a strategic fit for institutional investors, ? So, what was passed in was all of this, and this is the title that ChatGPT has come up with, which looks pretty good to me. So the next step is that we want to create an image for our article, which is fitting for the article. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask ChatGPT to write a design brief that we are going to send to Midjourney to actually then go and execute on that design brief and create us an image that's unique but also relevant to the article that it's for. So again, we're going to go into OpenAI, we're going to go and create a ChatGPT completion. We're going to use the latest LLM, and again we're going to use 0 tokens there, and the message is user prompt again, and I'm just going to copy and paste one again that I've used before. So as you are a project manager of a design team, please read the following article. Provide a design brief for a designer to create an image in glitch art style to accommodate the article in less than 600 characters. So the reason it's less than 600 characters is because there's a maximum limit on the prompt size that you can send to Midjourney, and if it's over that, it will fail. So we want to make sure we keep it under that length. Also, we want to make sure we don't use hyphens. If you use hyphens, Midjourney sees that as you trying to add a parameter to the prompt, and again, we're not adding any parameters. We do not want to add any parameters. So again, that will mess up our prompt if we try to, if hyphens are included. So I just add that in there to make sure there's no hyphens that are included within the design brief. So again, I just need to make sure that I'm using the right one here. So we need to go into, this is the article here, and this will create us a design brief, like I say, that we can later send to Midjourney. So good, and I'll go ahead and run that. So we're not actually going to go ahead and create the images yet. That's for the next video. So check out the description for the next video in the series. But this is just at this time creating the artwork design brief. So I'm just going to rename this again to work design brief, just so we know where we're at. If we go in here, you can look at the design brief. So it says create a Glitchbox style image to accompany an article about the arrest of Amiga Pro co-founder Andreas, I'm not even going to attempt that, surname in Turkey over a 4 billion cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme. So, you know, this is essentially the very short design brief that we're going to go ahead and send to Midjourney later on in the automation. So the next step in this automation is that we want to define the categories for the post that we've created. So if we go into the website, you can see that each of the posts has being placed into different categories. And this is important because it affects the navigation of the site. So if I want to see all of the Bitcoin news or the Ethereum news or the Solana news, then the way that we kind of split this out into different categories means that, you know, it helps with the navigation of the site. So we can see that this now has, you know, we've got all of the Solana news here. So we want to make sure that we add the, you know, the correct and appropriate categories to each of the blog posts. And the way that we do this is that we check the post for the words that are appropriate for these categories. So for example, as we search the post to say if the post has Bitcoin in, then it's probably got some information about Bitcoin. So we're going to add that to the post, and Ethereum and Solana. So, you know, if those words are mentioned within the article, then we'll go ahead and, you know, add those categories so that, you know, they appear in the right place within the navigation on the website. The other thing that you'll notice that I've done on here is that anytime those words for those cryptocurrencies are mentioned, I also put the latest price of that cryptocurrency here at the top of the article. So I probably won't show how to do this within this video, but it's very similar to how you would do the categories. And, you know, depending on what niche that you're creating a website for, you know, this is going to be different. But this just shows the way that you can kind of embellish and add value to your reading for the specific content that you're creating. So the way that we do this, or the way that I do this within Make, is that I'm going to Tools here and then create or set multiple variables. What I'm going to do here is we're going to use a function to go ahead and search the article for specific words. So I'm going to call this the Bitcoin one. So if I go into here, I'm just going to copy and paste the function that I've used here in the past. So we're saying if, now this might look a little bit complicated for anybody who's looking at this, you know, the first time, but don't fear it. You know, it does kind of make sense and you kind of get used to it. But, you know, also you can go ahead and kind of steal this from this blueprint here. So the way this function works is that, you know, it's essentially checking our article content to see if it has the word Bitcoin in it. And if it does have the word Bitcoin in it, then we want to add that category to the article itself. Now, you have to use the category IDs, not the category names themselves. So this category ID is the ID within WordPress for our Bitcoin category. And what we're doing is we're building up an array here of all of the categories that apply to this article. Now, if you're not familiar with what an array is, just think of it as a list. So we're building up a list of all the categories that we want to add to this article. Now, I will show you a really quick way to work out the category IDs for the article. So you can go into WordPress here and go to search categories. If I just go ahead and whoops. Okay, so actually I don't need to do any searches or anything. It's already connected to the Crypto Eagle website. So if I click run, now you can see I've got all of the categories here. So category for Bitcoin, as we just looked, is 125, altcoin is 130, blockchain is 128, etc, etc. So that's a really quick and easy way to go and grab the categories for each of the categories that you've got created within WordPress. So I'm going to go ahead and delete now. So did not save, unfortunately. So if I go to Bitcoin again, paste it, and again we want to use number 10 result. So we're going to add category 125 to an empty array. So it's going to be an array on its own. And we're going to do that actually for each of the different categories. So we might do the next one for Ethereum. Always where I struggle with how you spell Ethereum. And again, I'm going to paste this in here. So the category for Ethereum is 126. I need to put in the correct one again here into the result, number 10. And it's Ethereum that I'm looking for. So just again to cover just some of the other details of the functions, we say if it contains, as I mentioned, we will move this upper part of the function here is to take all of the content of the article and make it uppercase, because we're searching for uppercase Bitcoin in this case. If we didn't do that, then we'd have to search for uppercase Bitcoin, lowercase Bitcoin, Bitcoin with a capital B. So the best way to do it is just to take the article, make everything uppercase, and then we only have to search for uppercase Bitcoin, and we don't have to do like that multiple times. So each of these are getting added to a separate array of their own. But what we'll do later on is we're going to merge that array. You could, in theory, create one big long function to do all of this, but it would be very complicated and hard to debug with a lot of nested kind of ifs statements in there. And it's much easier just to keep it like split out like this. So we're going to do this for each of the categories. So I'm going to pause the video while I go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and move on to the next step. Okay, so I've gone and added all of the different categories in here now. So they're added in. One thing that I noticed and I remembered when adding these is that, we're searching here for a specific string, right? So we're searching for blockchain, meta. In here, we're searching for DeFi. The problem with DeFi specifically is that that string of 4 letters can appear a lot. So for example, in the word definitely or defines, those letters will appear. And if it finds those words in the article, then it will go ahead and add this tag DeFi, which we don't necessarily want because it might not be about DeFi. So to make sure that that it's only DeFi that we're searching on here, you can go ahead and add an empty string like before and after the word DeFi. So that makes sure there's a space before and a space after that string of 4 letters. So it'll exclude things like defines and definitely, because they won't have an empty space after the thing. So after that string of letters. So that's the way I can kind of get around that, and that might apply if you're using this similar kind of structure to me here. So the next step here will be to merge all of our arrays into one single array. So you'll see what we've got here is that we've ended up putting one category into a single item into each of the arrays. We need to merge that, because when we go to adding the categories to the WordPress module expects a single array as part of the category field. So I can show that a little bit later in the video when we go to add that in the automation. But trust me, for now we need to go and merge all of those arrays into one single array, and luckily there is a function that allows us to do that. So if we go ahead and go set variable, we can call this one blog categories, and the variable is this. So if I copy and paste this, I'm going to have to make a couple of edits, but essentially we've got this merge function here which takes all of the arrays, so you can see merges 2 or more arrays into one array. Just going to go ahead and switch these out because this is copy and pasted from a previous automation, so that we make sure we're getting the correct. Okay, I'll click OK. And now we'll have all of our single item arrays all merged into one array right there. So I've just run through this automation just to check it's working. If I go to set variable here, you can see that we have our single arrays with the categories in there, so blockchain, Ethereum and regulation. And if we go to our merged blog categories here, we can see that we've got one array now, which is detailed there, and we've got 3 items in that array, which is the 3 categories. So we can use that to apply the categories to the blog post. So right now we're on to our final step, which is to create the blog post. We've created the content and we're ready to go and upload that to WordPress. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and get a WordPress module here. We're going to do create a post. I'm going to go and add all of the content into that post that we need to. So we're going to go and grab the title of the article. So if we go to here where we've got write article, we want to grab the title out, which is in here. No, it's not in there. Sorry, it's in the title. So it's where we've written the article title here, isn't it? So we can go and get the result there. The content itself is the result of write article. And then the blog categories, which is what I spoke about here. So you can see that we've got all the blog categories kind of listed out here. Well, ahead of time, we don't know which categories we want to select. That's happening automatically. We're figuring out within our automation. So we want to click this map switch here, and now we're going to go and add our categories. So the categories that we've created here, blog categories, we can go and put those into there. That is the final step. We can add the author at the bottom here if we want to, which is Mark. But other than that, we have created blog post. So we're going to click OK. Oh no, we need to say that it is type post. There you go. Okay, so we go ahead and run that through now. So we've got a bunch of blog posts in here in trash, in the drafts that we need to go ahead and approve. Okay, so if we're going to WordPress now, we've got 10 drafts. We should hit an 11th draft, which is our new one, which is this one, I think. So if we go to here, Columbia probes WorldCoin for suspected data privacy violations. So again, we're going to here. This is the article that we've now created. As you can see from this article here, we've still got the markdown. We haven't got anything. It's not in it. These headings aren't properly formatted. This is all the markdown. So we need to transform this markdown into HTML. So arguably, you might say, well, why didn't you change it to markdown before you uploaded it to WordPress? What I found is that you still, if you do it that way around and you take the content, that comes out of ChatGPT, change it into markdown and then upload it into WordPress, you sometimes still have like funny characters, like apostrophes end up being like some string of characters instead of the apostrophe itself, and it just then requires more editing and formatting to get it right. What I found is if you upload the post to WordPress in markdown format, that does something to it just merely by having it in WordPress. And then if I again go and grab the content of that post and then change that content from markdown to HTML, then it works perfectly every time. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go and get the contents of that post that we've just uploaded, which sounds counterintuitive, but this is definitely the best way that I found for it to be just reliably work every time. So if I go and get a post, what we're going to do, the post we're going to get is the one that we've just uploaded. So it's of type posts, and the post ID will be this from the previous module. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get the markdown module, and we're going to say transform markdown to HTML. So we're going to get the content of that post. Oh, there it is, content. Let's run that through. I think that's the correct field there. And then click OK. And then we want to go and upload our transformed content from markdown to HTML back into WordPress. So we need to then go ahead and update a post. So we're going to update that existing post. So again, we put in type posts. We're going to put the post ID of this one. We can use either of these, they'll be the same. And then we're going to go and upload the content again, which will be this one. We don't need to, go and add the categories in and all those things again, because they'll automatically be included, from the last time that we uploaded. So when we're updating a post, it's just the fields that we upload or that we change here that are going to be changed. So it's just the content that's going to be changed in this case. So what we do now is we'll run that automation through again just to check that that's kind of all worked. Anyway, and everything's formatted nicely. We've got the nice headings and all the content kind of in between all looks beautifully formatted. What we're missing right now is the image. So for now, in this video, this is what I'm going to leave it at. We've already created the artwork design brief for the image, but we'll save that for the next video. So in the next video, we're going to tackle using Midjourney to create images for the blog post. So Midjourney isn't natively a module or an app that's included within Make, so you have to kind of jump through a couple of hoops. But given how good Midjourney is and how good the images it creates, it's going to kind of a worthwhile step. It would be a lot easier if you just used ChatGPT to create your images, but if you do want to use Midjourney, then that's what we're going to do, and we're going to show you how to do that in the next video. That's it for now for this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.